9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:04. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
So, how's it going back there behind those boards, Pete? Little frustrated this morning.
Well, you wake up and you expect it to be a certain way because it's been that way for a while, and then all of a sudden it's back to where you were banging your head against the wall before a couple months ago, and you don't know why, and nobody tells you.
Right.
I just wish people would level with me. That's
exactly.
all.
It can be a little frustrating. That's me. I like to
just level with me
and come back and things are the way I left them.
Right.
I keep telling my family that, if I leave my house in the morning and all the dishes are done, I would like when I come home at night that all the dishes are done. If you use them, feel free. Just wash them and put them away.
There's a difference between a natural disaster coming through.
Sure,
and
right. We get
normal
that.
operations.
Right. We get that. We understand natural disasters and things that cannot be avoided, but things that can be avoided, please let us know.
Right. I don't ask for much. I'm pretty easygoing guy.
Just let us know. That's all.
Right. I consider myself a pretty easygoing guy.
You are an easygoing guy, Pete.
Right.
Anybody that has to work with this array of hosts that you have to work with has to be an easygoing guy.
And high schoolers.
And high schoolers. Oh, yeah. Let's throw those. I forget. We are at the vocation. We're at Westfield Technical Academy. Right. We are at a vocational school. We do have high schoolers using the studio. So, yeah.
Who don't have any life experience. That's part of the problem. It's like they don't have life experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
makes a difference.
With the technological age, they think they're the smartest kid in the room because sometimes they are, but that doesn't mean they have any life experience.
That is true. That is.
That's the dichotomy I suffer every day.
Yeah,
There's some really smart kids across the hall. They don't have a clue how to make their own life in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really true. We don't think about that. We do think about, oh my God, these kids, they are so technologically savvy compared to those of us who are over, the age of 40 even.
Correct.
But they just don't have the life stuff to back it up.
Right. And as they gain that life experience, you watch them change. I notice it in my son and my girlfriend's kids as they're getting into their 20s, how the life experience, they start to get a little bit out in the real world outside of school.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much they start to change and their attitudes on things start to change.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's really fun. My daughter is actually famous birthdays. Grace turned 32 on Sunday.
Happy birthday, Grace.
Yeah, on Monday. Thank you. So I will pass that along to her. And, it is really different that you are, treating them less as kids, even though they'll always be your children, and, just more as adults. And I can remember my dad had a really hard time, I think, relating to, there are 4 children in my family. I have 3 brothers. Mm-hmm. And I think my dad really had a hard time relating to us as children. My mom was a teacher. She was a special ed teacher. So, of course, she definitely that was easy for her. Not so much for my dad, but it was interesting as we got older. I think it was easier for my father, way easier. He loved being able to, just interact with us as adults as we got into our 20s and 30s and 40s. And I think it was a little harder for my mom not to remember that we were no longer 10 or 15. So
I think that's me.
Different.
I think I'm more like your dad because I although I got along with Timmy pretty well when he was younger, that's getting more. He's understanding more now of where I was at back then and why me being a little bit less lenient helped him now.
Yes.
He completely gets it now.
Yes. Yeah. And it's amazing how
it's almost like you need that in a family. You need the one person who's strict and kind of detached.
The heavy.
And one person who's like, oh, and I'm going through that now in my relationship with my girlfriend with one of her kids.
Oh, sure. Now, how old are Christy's girls?
18 and 22.
Yeah. Difficult ages.
Right.
They are. They're difficult ages because they get to that point where they feel like they have all the answers because now I'm 18 or now I'm, 20 or, even 25. And as you pointed out at the beginning of the conversation, Pete, they just don't have the life experiences yet.
Right.
There are some things that just take time.
Yep.
They just evolve over time as you go through more, as you face more challenges and more hardships. And And I think that's one of the things, Gary and I have had this conversation as parents. It's challenging because you want to make your children's life a good life and, easier than yours. But on the other hand, that's growth really comes, I think,
if you do everything for them, they don't learn anything.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to get through to
and
my
they have to have disappointment. And they have to, because otherwise they don't have any coping skills. Otherwise they don't know how to, when they hit the really big disappointments, like, you just got laid off from your job not because you're a bad worker, but because the company's folding or whatever. How do you deal with that if you've never had any, negativity in your life up until that point? Or the harder
part than that is nothing's ever their fault.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear God. Yes.
Right?
Always the victim.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's right.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Nothing's ever their fault. Ooh,
right.
It's pretty beautiful. Look at the colors in the sky out there. It's beautiful out there.
Shaping up.
It is just absolutely beautiful pinks out there. It means it's going to be hot today.
Yeah. It is going to be warm. It's already it's like balmy out
64
there.
out there right now. Going to 72 and breezy. Red flag warning today.
Yes, please.
Do not burn in your yard today. No open flame, please.
Yeah, please. Really, please.
Otherwise, the fire department are going to be really busy.
Well, my neighbor called me last night to tell me that, and I wasn't aware of this, that sometime over the weekend, another neighbor had one of the, the kids, and mom and dad weren't home, and decided, it's a good day to have a bonfire, a good evening to have a bonfire. It is not.
We've had a red flag warning for several days now.
Oh, dear Lord. I almost had a heart attack. Thankfully, I didn't know about it, and some other neighbor was smart enough to call the fire department and say, can you just let those knuckleheads know that this is not the time to have a bonfire?
Right. So, a question for you. What are you doing with your week off next week?
My week off?
Yes, you're going to be off from the show.
That I was going to say 5 days off.
I'll give you a week off. Take a week off. You deserve it.
Yeah. No. Well, probably sleeping until 6 instead of 4. So, yeah, working on my newsletter because that's what my family thinks my entire job is because I'm always working on the newsletter. But
but
we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on at the Senior Center coming up. Some really great, exciting things going on in May and June. It gets to that time of the year, Pete. We got Mother's Day, we got Father's Day, we have volunteer recognition stuff, we have Pride stuff coming up. So there's
we
all
have to
kinds
start
of
a
stuff.
schedule to start retaping some of the fitness classes.
Yes. Well,
now after the success of the first one.
Yes. And also we have, that's a great segue into my guest
second
hour. That was really good, Pete. Very smooth. So we have Thomas Alves coming in from Westfield State University. Thomas will be with us second hour. He's a student. He's a senior in the Movement Sciences program with a concentration in movement exercise, I think, or exercise science, maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, he and a group, they are in Dr. Melissa Rohde's, one of her classes, and I think it's more of like an administration class. And Dr. Rohde has been partnering with the Council on Aging since we were at the old Senior Center, so, more than 10 years ago. She's wonderful, wonderful professor. She looks like she's about 15. She always looked like she was 15, and she still does. She's really awesome, and she's in fabulous shape. So anyway, Thomas and there are 4 other students, I believe, in his group are in this class, and they have to do a big semester project.
Yep.
Most of them have opted, most of the other groups have opted to do something working with children, and Thomas and his group wanted to do something working with older adults. So
They went to the opposite end of the spectrum.
Opposite end of the spectrum. Dr. Rohde steered them in my direction. So Thomas is going to be coming in second hour. He's going to talk about the project, what the group has been working on thus far.
We have secured a date to record.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's awesome. They are going to be recording, and so we can add a fitness class or substitute one in. We'll have to see. Pete and I can work.
Something.
Yeah, I'd love to add it. That would be awesome.
I think we have the Friday morning 10 o'clock spot open.
That'd be great.
I think that's because the yoga thing goes at noon, I think.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
look at that schedule, and we'll kind of see what we got, and we'll see how long their fitness, class is, and we'll get it onto the schedule for May. So we're excited about that. So Thomas will be here, and not only will he talk about the project, he's also going to give a little preview, a little demonstration of some of the exercises that they'll be including in their fitness class. So we're really excited about that. We have lots going on. Before we get to our first break, I do have to talk a little bit about the fact that April is Autism Acceptance Month. And the reason I have to do that is because all my first like two or three songs have to do with this. So let's talk a little bit about this. Mary Lou Najolski, our program director, is all about Autism Awareness Month. And I know that it's Autism Awareness Month because the official color of autism awareness is blue. And every April, Mary Lou has her nails painted blue. She's got some blue hair going on there, a little bit of streak of blue hair, because she is, very pro understanding autism and autism acceptance. So let's talk a little bit about this. Previously named Autism Acceptance Month, previously named Autism Awareness Month in April, aims to celebrate and promote acceptance for the condition that occurs in 1 in every 54 children as of 2020 in the United States. Autism, a complex developmental condition affecting the person's ability to interact, communicate, and progress, has not one but many subtypes. First held in the year 1972 by the Autism Society, Autism Acceptance Month emphasizes the need for public awareness to promote acceptance, celebrate the differences, and be more inclusive towards individuals with autism. Every April, the Autism Society works to build an inclusive community where individuals with autism are embraced and supported to achieve the highest quality of life possible. The Autism Society was founded in 1965 by Bernard Rimland and remains one of the few grassroots organizations in the autistic community. Driven by the fact that autism is the fastest growing developmental disability in the world, the Autism Society hosted one of its first nationwide efforts of an awareness campaign called National Autistic Children's Week back in 1972, which subsequently evolved into the Autism Awareness Month, earmarked in April. In 2021, so that was 2 years ago, Autism Awareness Month was renamed Autism Acceptance Month to foster acceptance and ignite change. The Autism Society deeply understands the need to foster awareness and acceptance to ignite change and a healthier lifestyle through improved opportunities for people with autism. It works every day to improve the lives of affected individuals and their families. The organization caters to more than 600,000 people living under the autism onslaught, using tools like community partnerships with organizations, digital and print resources, along with events and referrals to spark empathy and inclusivity in the general public. Besides educating masses for better systems-wide change and acceptance, their affiliate program stretches across more than 75 networks and advocates for exclusive services for the autistic community. So what exactly is autism? I mean, it has really, I think the way we view it, the way we understand it, has really changed in the last, probably 30 or 40 years. Autism spectrum disorder is a brain developmental disorder caused by genetic mutation and sometimes by environmental triggers. What are the common signs of autism? Well, the autism spectrum is vast, so very mild signs that you would hardly even know to much more severe. So things like people with autism, avoidance of eye contact. They have difficulty establishing eye contact with people. Persistent preference for solitude. So crowds, often they do not do well with large crowds. Difficulty understanding other people's feelings. So a lot of times what they hear is not the sarcasm or the humor or the angst in someone's voice, but just whatever the words are. So how they're delivered, they have a hard time sorting through that. Delayed language development, and sometimes that's one of the first signs that parents are aware that there may be something going on, delayed language development. Persistent repetition of words or phrases. Resistance to minor changes in routine or surroundings. And that can really affect families. That can be so challenging when, the regular routine is upset, even if it's just something really minor. That can affect someone with autism. Restricted interests. They may just have very few things that they're very interested in. Repetitive behaviors. That could be with someone with a more severe form of autism, flapping, rocking, spinning, things like that. Unusual and intense reactions to sounds, smells, tastes, textures, lights, and or colors. I know I've talked to parents of children with autism, and it can be really challenging to have a child with autism and have some of or all of those kinds of symptoms, that you're trying to navigate through. But there is help, and the National Autism Society has, some great resources. What flower represents autism? It's the blue forget-me-not flower, and that represents autism to raise awareness. With the autism diagnosis rate increasing fast, we take these 30 days in April to celebrate the differences of, to learn more about, and to empower individuals with autism. And the official color of autism is blue, as I mentioned earlier, so I am decked out in my blue today. And so we are going to, for our first couple of breaks, do some songs that, have to do with blue. So we're going to start with Blue Moon by the Marcells in honor of Autism Acceptance Month. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. We'll be back.
You saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart, without a love in my heart. You knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really care for. And then suddenly, oh, did it behold me, the only one my arms would ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon and stars is on. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:23. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
Wow, it suddenly got really light out.
Yes.
So yeah,
Quickly.
and for those of you who are just waking up, it is really warm out there already.
Yes, it is. I just wore a light sweatshirt today.
Yeah,
I considered not wearing any sweatshirt at all. But
Yeah.
It's windy out.
Yeah, it is. It's breezy out. As Pete said, we've got red flags in terms of fire hazards, so please be careful. It is like Tinder out there. I mean, it's just very
It's
dry,
a red
very
flag
beautiful.
warning day.
Yeah, but a red flag warning day. So no throwing cigarette butts, no doing any crazy stuff like that.
Correct.
All right, so Pete, let's talk a little bit about next week. So everything's a go right now, as far as we know.
As far as we know, yes. I've seen the Kennedy Space Center selling packages to watch the launch, the Falcon Heavy launch that we're going for. The Delta IV that was supposed to happen got pushed back, but that's not a big surprise with the United Launch Alliance because they just always. Delta IV is a rocket I will never see because every time I get a chance to see it, it gets delayed.
It gets delayed, yeah.
But here's the wrinkle.
Okay.
The wrinkle is Starship is also ready to fly in Texas.
Oh.
So we're looking at the dates, looking at the FAA. They haven't issued a launch license yet, but they may. So Elon Musk has a sense of humor, as we've seen throughout his Twitter, followings and all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, 420 is the, marijuana holiday, right?
Yes.
420,
Yes.
that's the
yeah.
Well, 420 is next week. And the window that the FAA has put out, that's one of the dates within the window. The window starts the 17th for the potential launch license and continues through to the 23rd. Elon said in a tweet Sunday that launch was trending towards late week. Mm-hmm. Well, late week is 420. Mm-hmm. That's Thursday. Mm-hmm. Right. So I have a feeling it's going to go. Okay. My sources down in Texas tell me that they're not sure, but they'd be willing to bet alongside me that that's possible. So, Kenny and I looked at flights from Tampa.
Oh, I knew we were going there. I'm thinking to myself, please tell me these guys are not going to try to do.
We're going to give it a shot. Yes.
So when's the launch in Florida? What day?
Would be the 18th, is what they're projecting.
And what day of the week is that?
That's Tuesday.
So Tuesday. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Tuesday the 18th. That's 7:30 p.m. That launch is. They're pretty good about once they set the date. They're pretty good about going on time.
Okay.
Unless there's a weather issue.
Right. And yes, exactly.
That's out of their control.
You know what, Pete? I have been doing this with you long enough. I'm just going to tell you right now. I have 2 guests lined up for next week that I did not cancel yet because you never know that last minute. And that's mostly weather.
I need to get away.
Okay,
Let's say
right.
this.
Well, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
I need a change of venue for a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
It's been a while.
No, I get that. I'm thinking to myself, oh man, I don't want to do this and then have them tell me like 3 days before. Okay, well we had to cancel everything because
Yeah, no, I need to get away.
You're going. Okay.
But so that launch would happen on the 17th, conceivably.
Okay.
The 17th or 18th.
18th, you said.
18th, right.
Okay.
The 19th, I scheduled a flight from Tampa, which is 2 hours away from where we're staying, to Corpus Christi, Texas, because it's the only place I could find a car rental company that was open when we get in.
So what time are you going to get in? Is it going to be like in the
it's like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So we'll leave from Tampa at 5:30 in the morning, get into Corpus Christi at 9:30.
Okay.
2-hour car ride down to South Padre. I found a hotel midweek. So South Padre Island's like the Cape.
Okay.
This is off season for them.
Oh, okay. Good.
I found a 2-bedroom suite for $90.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
At the Ramada Inn.
Oh my goodness!
With a kitchen, so it's like a family vacation room.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now, how long were you supposed to originally stay in Florida?
To the 20th.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
We were going to come back to the 20th. So now the launch, the launch window is from like 8 to noon each day.
Okay.
That would give us enough time to get back to Corpus Christi for a 7:30 p.m. flight.
Okay.
Back to Tampa at 12:30, and then drive straight home. From Tampa.
Oh.
Because my car will be in the parking garage in Tampa.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm thinking to myself, what? Okay, got it.
Right.
So now are you driving to Florida or are you doing the train thing?
We booked the train on a special deal.
Okay, you
And
still
then
were
the-
able to get that?
And then the dates changed and the
Right.
price doubled.
That's what I thought. I was going to say.
But you know what?
Yeah.
It was like we already
Yeah.
booked the train,
Was worth
and
it.
we made up the difference, and now it's an
Yeah.
even split between Ken and I paying for it.
Okay.
So, but I'd rather be down there and relaxed getting into the time.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't mind driving back and be stressed. That doesn't bother
Yeah,
me.
well.
Like, it's not ideal.
You're both just coming back to work, so
It's not ideal, but it's
Yeah.
okay. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about it. So,
yeah.
so we're gonna try. And then the nice thing about that is
So funny.
all the reservations are cancelable. So if it doesn't look like it's gonna happen on the 20th, we'll just cancel everything.
And can you stay in Florida then?
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
stay in
yeah.
Florida the 20th and then just come back.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'd kill myself if I didn't at least give it a shot.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, you'd be saying, "Oh man, we coulda, we shoulda, we."
And then the other thing, Mark, who's the custodian here,
Okay.
his son works for SpaceX
Really?
down there.
Get out of here.
Well, he was in the
Was
guard
he in
as
the-
an aircraft
Oh
maintainer.
my
so
goodness, no kidding.
they hired him for his aircraft skills, right? To work
Wow.
on the starships.
So how does that help you? I feel like it must.
Well, it gives us an in.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is Mark is going to be, his son is going on a training and his wife's going to go with him. So Mark and his wife are going to be down there watching the dogs at the same time.
Oh.
So he may get to see it
Oh
too.
my gosh, how
He's
fun.
like, what do you think? You think it's going to be there when I'm there? He says, what do you think? He just, I said
Yeah.
it's trending that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, how fun is that?
Because originally it was going to go the 17th, and we were looking at literally getting off the train,
Yeah.
going to a hotel, taking a shower, packing an overnight bag, and going to Tampa for a flight.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then be
yeah.
on the ground for
Yep.
18 hours.
Oh my God. Really? Yeah.
and try and
Okay.
just coming right back, and then catching the next launch in Florida, having a day off, and then coming back.
Well, Pete.
I got to try because you know what? We're not going to do any of them live, but I'm looking at it as being one hell of a program if we can catch both of them.
Yeah, it'd
and
be
then
so
Do the
fun.
stuff around
Yeah,
it.
no, that'd be so fun for the two of you. I think that's great. I hope it. I really hope it all works out. When do you think you would know for sure on the Texas flight?
I keep monitoring the FAA.
Yep.
They have it kind of penciled in for that week. So
Okay.
that it's looking okay in that regard. And then I'm looking at articles, and they haven't got the final launch license, but they're expecting it by Friday.
Okay, because I was going to say, I mean, they have to have, it's not like they can decide that morning. Okay, I think we'll,
No, they have to have a
yeah.
launch license by the FAA. They put in the
Okay.
application for
Okay.
they got the FCC approval for the launch frequencies and stuff like that, telemetry. And they have to go through all kinds of regulations.
Well, I would think so.
It's a
yeah.
highly regulated industry.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
As
okay.
much as you think they just pop a launch off.
No, I don't think that at all. That's why I'm thinking to myself, I mean, there has to be some lead time. You're going to have to know.
Right, and they
you
have
know,
to get
fairly
they have to
soon.
get the range has to grant them permission to launch into the range, because that rocket's going to take off from Texas and go in the strait between the Florida Keys and Cuba.
Oh, okay. Now,
That's its orbital path.
Now, the purpose of the Texas launching, like, what is that rocket supposed
It
to
is
do?
the first flight of the rocket into orbit.
Okay.
It's the first test flight.
Of that type of rocket.
The full stack,
Okay,
right?
okay.
They've had the 40,000 foot test that we caught last May.
Yep.
It was last May, yeah. That we ended up catching this successful one, and then they went, okay, now we figured that out. Now we're going to go towards a full orbital campaign.
Yeah.
But they have a schedule because they've been selected as the main vendor for the moon lander.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that timeline's like 2026. I think they want to land people on the moon.
So they've got to get all these steps in before that.
Right. You got to
Yeah.
prove that it's.
You don't
first,
just,
you got to
like-
prove that
yeah.
it works.
Right.
Then you got to prove that it's man rated after that. And SpaceX's plans kind of rely on this too, because the next generation of Starlink, their Starlink internet satellites, rely on this rocket to deploy them.
Okay.
They won't fit in the they're too big to fit into the rockets they have now.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what, Pete? I have to tell you, like, I knew nothing about any of this before I met you, before we started doing the show together. And, I know you've got the interest. And so it's really been fascinating. And I've really learned a lot about the whole space program and just in general.
Right.
And it's been interesting that it's not all NASA, which is,
Well, and the other private company, United Launch Alliance and Blue Origin, both of them are having problems because the engine that Blue Origin is developing, the BE4, to power both their rocket and United Launch Alliance's next rocket, the Vulcan, is having major problems, and they're way behind schedule.
Oh. Yeah.
One of them, I think,
and I guess that happens.
An upper stage just had a little mishap down in Mississippi.
Oops.
On the test stand.
Yeah. Oops.
Something about a column of hydrogen flame around it.
Yeah. Well,
little hydrogen explosion.
Minor little detail. All right. Okay. Well, let's.
So busy week next week, no matter what. But you know what?
Week. Okay.
I'd kill myself if I did, because we're flying with points. So
yeah. What the heck? Go for it. Go for it. You know what? I'm gonna keep you in my texts so I can follow along.
We'll post updates. Just have Gary check in on my Facebook page.
On your Facebook page. All right. Okay. So listen, let's get to a break, and then we'll get on with other things. But that was interesting. Thanks, Pete. It is 6:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses on WCPC cable channel 15. So in following with my theme of blue, this is Autism Acceptance Month, the month of April. Official color is blue. We're going to do one more blue song, and this is one of my favorites. It's so pretty. It's by Bobby Vinton, and it's called Blue Velvet. We'll be back.
She wore blue velvet, bluer than velvet was the night, softer than satin was the light from the stars. She wore blue velvet, bluer than velvet were her eyes, warmer than May her tender sighs. Love was ours, ours, love I held tightly, feeling the rapture grow, like a flame burning brightly. But when she left, gone was the glow of blue velvet. But in my heart there'll always be precious and warm a memory through the years, and I still can see blue velvet through my tears. She wore blue velvet, but in my heart there'll always be precious and warm a memory through the years, and I still can see blue velvet through my tears.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:38. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So not only is this Autism Acceptance Month, it is also, April is also National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. And since this is one of my pet peeves, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So at least, this is amazing. Some of these statistics are really amazing to me. At least 8 people a day are killed in distracted driving crashes. Distracted driving isn't just risky for you, it can be deadly for every nearby driver, pedestrian, bicyclist, and worker. So what exactly is distracted driving? Distracted driving constitutes any activity that takes attention away from a driver's focus on the road. Brains cannot process more than one activity at a time, and focusing on any other task besides driving can lead to delayed reaction times and subsequently a higher chance of being involved in a collision. So here are the top 5 types of distracted driving. Number 1, using electronic devices. So that can be, your cell phone, your tablet, anything. The radio, anything that's electronic. 2, reaching for an object inside the vehicle. 3, looking at an object or event outside of the vehicle. Oh, look at that dog. Oh, look at that lady's
Squirrel.
hat. Yeah, squirrel, whatever. Number 4 is eating. And number 5 is, women, are you ready for this? Applying cosmetics, putting your makeup on while you're driving. I've heard of unbelievable things. I've heard of people reading the newspaper while they're driving. Crazy. All right, visual distraction is any distraction that involves taking your eyes off the road. Manual distraction is any distraction that involves taking your hands off the wheel of the car. Cognitive distraction is any distraction that involves taking your mind off of driving. Drivers may experience one or more of these distractions during activities such as talking or texting on your phone, eating or drinking, talking to passengers in your vehicle, or using entertainment or navigation systems. One way that drivers can resist distractions is to minimize any multitasking activity. Whether it's adjusting the mirrors, choosing music, eating a snack, talking on the phone, or reading a message, drivers should consider taking care of any non-driving activity before starting their trip. Other ways drivers can avoid distractions include using apps to avoid cell phone usage while driving or requesting assistance from passengers in the car. I can't tell you how many times I've been with Gary and he's fumbling around trying to open up a package with something. And I'm sitting right here. I will open it for you and hand it to you. You keep your eyes on the road and focus there.
I definitely do that. I ask for help.
Yeah. And Gary's gotten a lot better at that. Could you get me this? Can you go into the cooler and grab me a, granola bar or something?
Yep.
Yeah. Passengers can assist with a number of non-driving related tasks, including navigation, turn left up here, or whatever. Oh, I noticed this, that, or the other thing coming up. Handling the entertainment systems. You just say, hey, what radio station? I'll turn on the radio or I'll turn on Sirius or whatever it is. What do you want to listen to?
Yep.
Or monitoring other passengers in the vehicle. Kids, quiet down in the back seat. They may also offer encouragement to drivers who are distracted by reminding the driver to refocus on the road. And I have absolutely done that, not as a nag or anything, but it's Gar, hey, pay attention to what you're doing. Don't be looking around at, that landscaping over there is beautiful. I get it. My big thing is if you need to make a call, if you need to get a snack or whatever, find a place to pull over. That's all. Just don't. I find personally for myself, and this one is really hard, it's not any of that stuff that I do with my hands or my eyes, or I'm really good about all of that stuff and not doing that. Mm-hmm. It's my brain. I will start thinking about, I'll start problem solving. I'll start thinking about what I have to do. Usually it's more not on my way to work, but on my way home from work. I'm thinking about something that happened, a meeting that I went to, how can I problem solve? And that is a problem. And I have to kind of catch myself and say, focus on the road. You can think about this when you get home. So just be really wary about that. But I was kind of surprised at those statistics. Just so many accidents. because of distracted driving. So be careful, my friends. All right. You know what? Let's take a break, Pete, before I get into the next bunch of stuff. We've got all kinds of awarenesses this month. April is all kinds of awareness month. So you're going to be aware of all kinds of things by the time we're done. But since we just did distracted driving and the next song has to do with driving, obviously. Let's take our break now. It is 6:44. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. And in honor of Distracted Driving Awareness Month, we're going to listen to the Beatles singing
Is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So in addition to Autism Acceptance Month and what's the one I just did? Distracted Driving Awareness Month. April is also National Foot Health Awareness Month. So we got all kinds of things. This show's all about health and wellness, so let's talk. So April is designated as National Foot Health Awareness Month, and it's the perfect time to think about how much you count on your feet each day and how important it is to develop healthy habits to keep them free of pain. Because the foot is such a complex structure that has more bones than any other part of the human body, it's no surprise that so many people experience foot pain. But this pain is often a sign of a more serious underlying issue. And because many symptoms show up in the feet first, they are excellent for identifying both common and more serious medical conditions, such as the following. Toenails that are stained may be an indication of a more serious underlying disorder, such as diabetes, fungus, or liver issues. Most corns and blisters can be caused by wearing shoes that fit too tightly, but they can also be a sign of a more serious problem, like diabetes. Swollen joints can be a sign of osteoarthritis, gout, or rheumatoid arthritis. Painful, inflamed feet can be an indication of something much more serious, such as heart, thyroid, or kidney problems. A loss of hair on your toes can be a sign of poor circulation and/or diabetes. Cracking on the heels can also be a sign of a thyroid problem or diabetes. And, our friends at the Holyoke Medical Center, the Wound Care Center, every April, they send me a bunch of, they're kind of like cards on foot care. And we have those at the Senior Center. Evelyn Bristol, our nurse, has those in her office. So please feel free to stop by and pick one of these up. But I just want to go over a little bit about foot care and when you should call your healthcare provider. A lot of foot care, we kind of dismiss it and say, okay, no big deal. But again, there are certain signs and symptoms that indicate a much deeper underlying problem. So if you have any of the following symptoms, it would be wise to contact your healthcare provider. If you have a blister, cut, or other foot injury that doesn't start to heal after a few days. It should start to heal after a couple of days. If it doesn't, that's an indication to get a hold of your medical provider. A foot injury or wound that feels warm to the touch. Tingling, numbness, pain, swelling, burning sensations, or difficulty walking. Redness around a foot injury, because that's going to probably indicate infection. A callus with dried blood on the inside of it, and wounds that are dark and smelly, which may be a sign of something being gangrenous. So any of those, you're going to want to, contact your healthcare provider. Taking care of your feet. there are many preventative measures that you can take to improve your foot health. So first of all, one of the things that you want to do is what's called a self-foot check. So you're going to sit in a well-lit room and you're going to examine your feet closely. You can use a magnifying glass or a mirror to help see the bottom of your feet and in between your toes. And if it's really hard for you to do this, ask a family member or a friend to help you, because you're going to want to be looking for things like red spots, cuts, swelling, blisters, toenail cracks, any kind of a sore, any kind of an injury, because we know that if you have diabetes, sometimes you lose the sensation in your feet. You may not feel it. That's one of the biggest problems.
Right.
I mean, that's where people really get into trouble, especially diabetics. They can't feel it because a lot of times there's peripheral nerve damage down there. And I can't tell you the number of diabetics that I've worked with that have had major foot problems because they didn't feel it and they didn't check their feet, so they weren't looking. You've got to be really, I mean, it's like a woman, doing a self breast exam. You have to be vigilant yourself to do that.
Yep.
Taking care of your feet, you want to wash your feet daily with warm water. Soap and water, mild soap, and use moisturizing lotions, especially in the winter if you tend to have dry skin. But you want to dry your feet carefully. Don't keep them wet or damp. Make sure that you dry them in between the toes, because you can, end up with problems if you don't.
Well, that'll also promote athlete's foot too.
Exactly, and you really want to avoid that. Always wear socks and shoes that are comfortable and fit well. And so here's the great thing about getting older. The older that I get, we were talking about this at work. Most of us are over the age of 50 that work at the senior center now. And it's like, yeah, we hit like 50, 55. And it's like the spiked heels when, they went to the donation bin, and we're all about comfort. And of course you want, shoes that look nice too, but it's all about comfort and making sure that you're wearing something that's supportive. Check your shoes for any objects, tears, or sharp edges. And again, especially if you have somebody with peripheral neuropathy and you don't have a good sense of touch or feel in your feet, make sure that you're examining that, because you might not feel that. It's really best to avoid walking barefoot for all kinds of reasons. And then finally, exercise if you're able to do that. Physical activity can certainly help increase the circulation in your feet. And you can consult with your healthcare team to see which exercises are best for you. So those are our tips. And I just want to thank, again, we've had Ann Johnson on from the Wound Care Center at Holyoke Medical Center. She's been on the show a couple of times talking about wound care and foot care and so forth. But thank you to Ann, who every April, without fail, she sends me some foot care. And I know I've announced it on the show before, and I will continue to do so. But soon, within probably the next 2 months, we will be offering foot care through our nurse, Evelyn Bristol. She's going through the training now. She's going to be heading out to Minnesota in a couple of weeks for their national convention, the Foot Care Nurse National Convention. She'll get a bulk of her training done out there, and we've also started ordering the supplies. There's actually a woman, Pete, I think she's out in California, who is so gung-ho on foot care being available to, especially to seniors. She put together like a kit for foot care nurses who are starting, just like Evelyn is, kind of like all the things that you're going to need to get you started. So Evelyn said it's really fabulous. She did a lot of really great work on that. So we are going to order one of those kits. So we kind of have the foot care starter kit.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really great. We're excited about that. And then my final April Awareness Month, it is National Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. Again, something that we've talked about on this show. Super important. So let's talk a little bit about Parkinson's disease. An estimated 1 million people in the United States and more than 6 million people worldwide are affected by Parkinson's disease. There's no simple way to deal with the life-changing event of a Parkinson's diagnosis. The good news is that most people find acceptance and quality of life after the initial adjustment period. Parkinson's disease occurs when brain cells that make dopamine, a chemical that coordinates movement, stop working or die. Because Parkinson's disease can cause tremor, slowness, stiffness, and walking and balance problems, it's called a movement disorder. But there are other symptoms that sometimes go along with Parkinson's as well. Constipation, depression, memory problems, and other non-movement symptoms can also be a part of Parkinson's. It's a lifelong and progressive disease, which means that symptoms slowly worsen over time. The experience of living with Parkinson's over the course of a lifetime is unique to each person. Symptoms and progression vary from person to person. And I have spent, my entire career working with older adults, and certainly a number of them have had Parkinson's disease. And I think that is probably the best way to say it. It is unique to every person. So there are some symptoms that are across the board, but how quickly people progress, the degree that they progress, it's different for everyone. So, some people, the symptoms are mild and they stay mild for a number of years. And, you kind of learn to live with it. You adjust to it. For some people, it's a more rapid progression. And then for other people, it kind of stabilizes, and then they might have, a sort of a period where things go south for a while, and then it stabilizes again. So it's almost more like a staircase.
A lot of people have that with MS too.
You know what, Pete? And I was going to say that it is very similar to MS in that respect, where it's that progression. It's very different for everybody. I mean, I've worked with people who say, "Oh, I have Parkinson's," and I thought, "Oh my gosh!" And in some cases, especially early on, it is controlled with medication.
Yep.
So you might not even realize, or you might say, "Oh, there's a little something going on," but you don't really know what. So researchers believe that in most people, Parkinson's is caused by a combination of environmental and genetic factors. And there's been a lot of research done on whether it's genetic, whether it's environmental. But I think the thought now is that it's probably a combination of the two. Certain environmental exposures, such as pesticides and head injury, are associated with an increased risk of Parkinson's. Aging is the greatest risk factor, and the average age at diagnosis is 60. Still, some people get Parkinson's at 40 or even younger. Men are diagnosed with Parkinson's at a higher rate than women, and whites more than other races. The symptoms of Parkinson's and their degree of severity, as we said, are different for every person. The three cardinal movement or motor symptoms are slowness of movement, which is called bradykinesia, stiffness, which is also, rigidity, and resting tremor. And interestingly, most people think that the first symptom of Parkinson's, and the way that people kind of are, suspect that they may have it, is tremor. And, because that's the one that we see. That's actually not the first symptom. The first symptom is generally bradykinesia, which is that slowness of movement. And it's like your brain is telling you to put one foot in front of the other, but your feet aren't following through, and that's generally the first symptom. Some people also have walking problems or difficulty with balance and coordination, and that's a huge problem with Parkinson's. Medications are available to lessen Parkinson's movement, the motor and non-motor symptoms, making it possible for people to lead fulfilling and productive lives for many years. There are also surgical interventions such as deep brain stimulation and focused ultrasound, which may be an option for certain symptoms. Those the surgical procedures are not they don't work for everyone, but for certain people at certain times within their diagnosis, they can be really beneficial. So this is my opportunity to talk a little bit about the program at the YMCA, which was developed pretty much by Michelle Urbanski, who teaches our mail call class over at the Senior Center. She did a lot of special training for an exercise program for folks with Parkinson's. They have been running it now for several months. It's $5 a class. It's a drop-in class. And they did it that way, Pete, because, sometimes you wake up in the morning and when you've got some kind of a chronic illness, this is just not going to be your day.
Did they start that after the place in East Hampton went out?
They did. That's exactly when and why they started it.
A friend of mine who has Parkinson's
used to go. It was called DopAFit.
Yep.
And it was in East Hampton. And I don't know if you remember, we had the owner of DopAFit on this show.
Way back when.
Way back when, yep, to talk about that program. Well, they closed. I think they didn't make it through, the pandemic.
The pandemic, correct.
Yeah. So they closed, and there was this huge gap, and there was a real need. So I had talked to Michelle about this. The YMCA, Andrea Allard got on board. So pretty excited about this. So the program over at the Y is on Mondays and Fridays from 11 to 12, 11 in the morning till noon. And again, the first class is free, so people can try it out if they want to. And again, it's $5 drop-in fee. You can purchase a packet of 10 sessions for $50. And then those are redeemed as you use them. So it's not like you have to go to, 10 classes in a row or anything like that. So this class is for people with Parkinson's that are community dwelling, not people that are institutionalized or in a facility. And they do need to be independent with their walking. Now, they may use a walking device. They can use a cane or a walker, but they do have to be independent with walking. Exercise has been shown to slow the progression and manage the symptoms of Parkinson's. So participants in the YMCA class need to be able to move from station to station. They need to be able to get up and down to and from the floor, not quickly, but you do have to be able to do that. They have to be able to perform lateral movements, some cardio, some free weight exercises, and process cues with minimal assistance. So they have to be able to follow instructions, basically. Activities involved include stretching, agility, cardio, strength, and boxing. And they do need a medical clearance from a doctor, and Michelle Urbanski does a screening intake with each person who participates. And Michelle is the Health and Wellness Director over at the YMCA. She's fabulous and just a terrific person and so knowledgeable and so great at what she does. Our mail call class is running strong with Michelle. The guys absolutely love her. And for those who might be interested in that class, it's an all-male class offered at the senior centers on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 9 a.m. We open the building early just for the mail call guys.
I think we may want to record that one because I don't think we ever did mail call.
Okay. You know what? I have to go back and check the schedule. Well, if we didn't, we need to. I thought that we did. I thought we did a home one. But you know what? I would love to get
we might as well just round them all out.
Yeah, I would.
Because with that little Zoom camera, it makes life a lot easier.
You know what? That should be the next one we do because that is a fabulous class. And the guys that are in there are so dedicated. They're great. All right, it is 7:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. I promised a student from Westfield State would be here, and he is on deck. So when we come back, we'll have Thomas Alves with us. We'll be back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:06. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. And in addition to Pete Coles behind the board back there, Thomas Alves has joined us. He's a senior at Westfield State University, majoring in movement science with a concentration in exercise science. And we're going to let Thomas just kind of settle in for a few minutes while I finish doing all kinds of announcements here. So we'll let him get all the, those little early morning nervous jitters out while I babble on for a couple of minutes. So, April 22nd, there's about 100 things going on in the city of Westfield. So I have talked before. It is Earth Day Cleanup 2023. So that's Saturday, April 22nd. This is presented by Mayor Mike McCabe and the Westfield Conservation Department. For those of you who would like to help out with that event, the meetup is at Mount Moriah Lodge, which is 72 Broad Street. Breakfast will be provided at 8 o'clock, and lunch will be at noon, and in between they're going to make you work like crazy cleaning up the city. So you can pre-register for that at 572-6281, which Pete and I suspect is the Conservation Department over at City Hall. And any help that you can give will be greatly appreciated. I believe usually they give out the orange vest or the yellow vest to wear so that you're protected there, and also gloves. They usually have gloves. But if you have any of that of your own, bring it along for sure. So that is April 22nd in the morning. On the same date in the morning, we are having the shredding event at the Senior Center. Take note, because we usually get 100 phone calls saying, "Are you doing it? Are you doing it?" Yes. So Dollars for Scholars, CFS Westfield Dollars for Scholars, hosts the annual Document Shred Day at the Senior Center. I just want to make clear that it is hosted by that. So this is their program. We provide the parking lot. That's all the Senior Center does. So I don't have anything to do with it other than to provide a parking lot and a restroom for their volunteers and some coffee for them in the morning. So if you are interested, it goes from 9 to 11, rain or shine, on Saturday, April 22nd. Bring your boxes to be shredded and recycled. So this is a fundraiser for CSF, and those dollars do stay in Westfield. They are given as scholarships to our high school students here. It's $5 a box. You can, and people ask me, like, how big a box? Well, like sort of a copy size box. It can be a little bit bigger than that. And you can stuff them, but take out the paper clips and all that other good stuff. So this is the time, we're just finishing up with tax season. This is the time that if you have documents, especially things with your Social Security number, your Medicare number, or health insurance numbers, anything like that you need to have shredded, that you should not just put in the recycle bin, this is the time to do it. So 9 to 11, no early birds, please. They will snake you through the parking lot, just like we do for lunches and so forth. So that is on April 22nd. And I just found out there's one more city event on April 22nd. Todd Edwards from the Westfield Police Department has been down to my office a couple of times this week, giving me some posters and flyers on the drug take-back, which we normally do the drug take-back at the Senior Center, but because we're doing the shredding event on the same day, they're doing it at City Hall. So if you have any old medications, and they can be prescription, non-prescription, ointments, nasal sprays, anything like that, vitamins, anything, old bottles of aspirin, anything like that, you can bring that over to City Hall. They're going to do it as we have done it at the Senior Center the last several years as a drive-through, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Take them over to City Hall. The time for the medication drug take-back, and this is a national one, which is why we couldn't change the date, because we usually like to do this at the Senior Center, but it has never coincided with the shredding event until this year. So the time for that is 10 to 1:30. So anytime between 10 in the morning and 1:30. This is a great time, folks. I'm giving you advance notice, so start cleaning out your closets. You can get rid of your documents that need to be shredded. You can get rid of your medications, and you can help clean up Westfield all on the same day, April 22nd.
Does the medication included like expired
Yes,
over-the-counter stuff?
It absolutely, and that's the main reason for it. So yeah, check those labels. I mean, if you I've gone and done this with some of my seniors.
If it's a year or two out of date,
yeah,
it's okay. If it's 5 years out of date, throw
oh
it
my
away.
God, I have medication. I have seniors who have medications. Oh, my husband took this. Well, my husband's been dead for 8 years, and the medication is like 12 years old. Okay, you can't use it. So let's get rid of those, please. Okay, couple of just senior center announcements before we bring Thomas into this conversation. We are doing our Spring Fling Curbside Luncheon. That's our special Yankee Pot Roast Luncheon on Wednesday, April 26th, and we have started taking reservations for that. We started doing that yesterday, and we already have over 100 people signed up. So but we still have room. So if you are interested and you want to sign up for that, give us a call at the Senior Center at 562-6435. Again, the date is Wednesday, April 22nd. It'll be Yankee pot roast with gravy and mashed potatoes and tangy lemon burst pudding cake for dessert. It's our annual Spring Fling, and you can dress for the occasion. You can wear your Hawaiian shirts or whatever you would like to do. The other thing that I want to remind people of is today is our brown bag food distribution program. I got to tell you a story about that, Pete. It was great. So remember that it's a half-hour time frame. So it's this morning between 9 and 9:30 to pick up your brown bag. So, Pete, yesterday we had representatives from the Western Mass Food Bank over at the Senior Center because they run that program. The food that we get for the brown bag food distribution comes from the Western Mass Food Bank. So periodically they come and they, it's kind of like
check out the operation.
Exactly. It's like the inspection, right? Well, of course, ours is a 2-day affair because once COVID hit and we started doing this curbside, the food is delivered on the second Tuesday of the month, which was yesterday. And then we bag up, we do all the bags and all of that on Tuesday afternoon. And then the next morning, which is today, we do the distribution between 9 and 9:30. So when the inspectors called us and said, they sent an email to Lynn Hills and said, it's time for our annual inspection. And Lynn said, well, which part of it do you want to watch? And they said, well, it doesn't matter, wherever. So Lynn said to me, you know what, why don't we have them come over the day that we get the food, which was yesterday, but not when we're unloading the truck, because who cares? But we'll have them come over while we assemble the bags, because if you recall, Pete, we have the students from Westfield Technical Academy that help us out with that every month.
Right.
Well, yesterday, and sometimes we have, we usually have like 5 or 6 students helping us. Sometimes we only have maybe 3 or 4, but sometimes we have like 9 or 10. It kind of depends on what else is going on with the students and their shop that week.
Right.
Well, yesterday, the Western Mass Food Bank, we thought they were coming in May, but it turned out they came yesterday. And so there they were. And so the the Allied Health students came over, and there were like 12 of them. It was so fabulous because we had, each one had.
Did you tell them this isn't normal?
No, we didn't tell them that at all. We told them that, it's like, hey, they don't need to know that. It was so fabulous. They were so impressed because, first of all, I said to Angel,
it went really quick.
Not only that, I said to him, does everybody who's here today, has everybody done this before? And he said, yep. They're all schooled in it. So those kids students were so great. They went right over, they lined themselves up. They started, they just knew exactly what to do. We didn't even have to. I got to tell you, the people from the food bank were absolutely blown away at this operation. And then the staff, we're emptying the boxes, we're cutting the boxes up and getting those ready for recycle. It's just this well-oiled machine. And
I was going to say, usually you have a well-oiled machine once you figure it out.
Yeah, and of course, and as Lynn Hills told them, she said to the two from the food bank, she said, "Listen, I take no credit." She said, "Karen Noblet and Tina Gorman have been doing this forever, and once COVID hit, we had to figure out a new way to do it. But it was great. So thank you to the students. We love our Allied Health students." Our biggest problem is when they all go home for the summer. So it's like, oh, man, that means we've got to do it. All right. let's take a break, and we're going to play this song, which is going to introduce Thomas Alves, my guest from Westfield State University. We're going to be talking all about fitness. We're going to be talking about this great project that his group is working on. So let's get us in the mood. We're going to listen to Olivia Newton-John singing "Let's Get Physical." You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We'll be back.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:20. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with Thomas Alves. Thomas is a senior at Westfield State University, majoring in movement science with a concentration in exercise science. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's really nice to have someone so young on the show. Usually I've got older adults on the show, so this is kind of really nice. So you approached me, I think, through an email. I think that was the initial intro, and you are taking a class with one of our favorite people, Dr. Melissa Rohde. And I was mentioning earlier, first hour, that Dr. Rohde, I have known Dr. Rohde for over 10 years. She started working with us and her students in the movement science program years ago when we were at the old senior center, and we started doing some exercise classes. The seniors absolutely love her. Of course, she looks like a student herself. To me, she hasn't changed in 10 years. But that really kind of got us started on a partnership that we have, kind of fostered over the years. And so that's been nice. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and everything kind of fell apart, and then we reconnected, and so we've worked on and off with her students. Part of the sometimes one of the issues that we have is scheduling, because the fitness room is used a lot at the senior center now. We have a lot of different classes going on, and sometimes the schedule for her students didn't mesh with what we already had going on, and we couldn't fit it in. But anyway, you are working with a group this is a group project, correct? Mm-hmm. So this one offers us a lot more flexibility. So tell us, before we get into the group and the group project, tell us a little bit about you and the other members of the group. Now, you're the only one that, rise and shine at 6 a.m., but there are 4 other members of the group, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's start with you, and then maybe you can tell us a little bit about the other members as well. So you're a senior, but you didn't start as a movement science major, I found out recently.
I did not. I started off as a business major for my first 3 semesters at Westfield. My goal was to get through college and start my own business, and about halfway through my sophomore year, I started to realize, I want to start my own business, but I wanted to start a strength and conditioning business. And it all kind of stemmed from, I did my sophomore year online during COVID. I spent a lot of time with my brothers who are, young athletes, and I'd spend all day doing homework, and in the afternoons I would go to the gym and train them. And slowly over time, that started to be the thing that I looked forward to all day.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and I would start doing research, so I would make sure I'm telling them the right information. And I finally had a hard conversation with myself where I was like, I'm doing all this research in my free time, and I'm dedicating all my free time to this. Why don't I make this my career? Why don't I focus on this? So that's when I made the change halfway through my sophomore year, and I've never looked back.
What's really great about that, in my opinion, and I taught at Springfield College for a number of years. So I've, worked with students who have gone through that search, like, I'm not sure, but, my passion is here. But what's really interesting about that is a lot of students who end up branching off on their own, whether it's, in law or, could be in anything, don't have the business background. And my brother's an attorney, my husband's a chiropractor. Both of them ended up in private practice. But I remember my brother saying to my husband, because my brother's older, Gary, did you get any business classes? Like, did you, because essentially you are opening up your own business, whether it's fitness or law or medicine or, whatever it is. And most of them didn't. So you've already got that, sort of that business background, a little bit of that going for you, and now really focusing on the health and wellness piece and the movement science piece.
Yeah, it was... It's definitely valuable. At first, you start to think, oh, did I just waste, 3
Not
semesters?
At all.
And I started my personal training business this summer, and my dad was freaking out. He was like, are you insured? Are you keeping track of your payments? And I was like, yeah.
I got this,
I knew
Dad.
To do that, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was really cool when tax season came around. I had my spreadsheet already. And
oh, my gosh.
so
Thomas, you're amazing. Now, where are you from? Where?
I'm from Falmouth, Mass, Cape Cod.
On the Cape.
Yeah, grew up by the ocean. So
nice.
Yeah.
Now, so tell us about this business that you started. I didn't know anything about that. Tell us about that.
So it's just a personal training business right now, since obviously I haven't gotten my bachelor's degree, so I can't become an S&C coach yet.
What's SN? Oh,
strength and conditioning.
Strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay.
it just means that you can, train athletes.
Yes.
And coach them through like resistance training programs and prescribe resistance training programs to them. And
interesting.
One of the things I've been specializing in is going to people's homes and giving them home workouts where, there's a lot of people who retire on the Cape.
Yep.
And, it was always my dream to only work with kids. And you slowly start to realize like you're really sectioning yourself off from a lot of people.
Yes.
And I had a client reach out to me through Facebook, actually. He saw something I posted about being interested in training people.
Mm-hmm.
And we've developed a great relationship ever since.
You are so ahead of the game here because, interestingly, my brother and sister-in-law who live down there, their home is up in Bar Harbor, Maine, but they also have an apartment in the Baltimore area in Columbia, Maryland, because their daughter lives there. And they started, there are a number of health clubs and everything down there, and they're very fit, and they do all kinds of outdoorsy stuff. And they started going to a gym, and then COVID hit. And the personal trainer that my sister-in-law was working with, she just absolutely loved him. And he started doing what you're doing. He started doing in the home. And my sister-in-law is not a big one on, big groups and classes. And, she, especially when she first started, because she's not, by her own admission, she said, I was never a gym rat or anything. She wasn't athletic. So she kind of felt like, everybody's looking at me. But she really did well with that one-on-one. And he has now taken off with that whole concept of working with people kind of in the home, and kind of giving them that option. So I think you're really heading in the right direction. And I think what you're going to find is there will be a demand for that. And I also absolutely agree. I taught a course in gerontology when I was at Springfield, and it was a required course for all the rehab majors. First day, I used to say to my students, how many of you want to, and I had a lot of occupational therapy students, rehab students, physical therapy. How many of you want to work with children? 99.9% of the hands went up. How many of you want to work with older adults? Maybe in a good semester, I'd have like 2 or 3 out of 30, maybe. But I kept saying, look at the demographics. That's where your population, all those baby boomers, And now there's so much more of an awareness, I think, among older adults about fitness and its importance.
Yeah.
So now that we know a little bit about you, there are other members of the group you're working with. So who else is in your group, Thomas?
So we have Evan Gardner. He's in charge of our marketing. He was actually at our initial meeting.
Yep.
He's come up with a lot of marketing strategies, and we have like these certain guidelines we have to follow, and he makes sure that we're following
those. The guidelines set by Dr. Rohde for the class. What is the class title?
Organization and Administration in Exercise Science. So it's a class focused on, facilitating programs or events and the proper way to schedule an event. Like you can't just have an event.
Yeah, right, exactly. They don't just happen.
Yeah, obviously you're pretty familiar with this. So this is kind of teaching our students that you don't just get to do things.
Right.
You have to actually plan things out. And,
these are the steps.
Yep. And it's definitely been a learning curve for me because we've had pretty much all the communication between you and I, and it's been a lot of work, and I have a lot of respect for what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a lot of work.
You're doing this stuff all the time. So.
Yeah.
And then we have Emily Slater. She's in charge of our research. She's just making sure that, when we prescribe an exercise in our exercise class, there's actually a reason behind it. We don't want to just write a bunch of random exercises down just to get the grade and then move on. We want to make sure that these are smart exercises. And I guess that's maybe part of the reason why some people like to work with the younger populations because, if you do the wrong thing with a kid, their bodies are a little more flexible.
Yep.
It's not as risky. We have to make sure we're really dialed in when we're working with senior populations, and it's a little more work, but I think it's worth it,
It's really interesting. I had a student when I was working at the old senior center, when we were still at the old senior center, I had a student from Springfield College who was a rehab major, and she really enjoyed line dancing. That's what she would do on her Friday nights or Saturday nights or whatever. So I always had my student intern, she interned for me, do a special project for like sort of their capstone. But I was really flexible with what they did. And I always said to them, do something that you're really interested in. So she decided she was going to teach line dancing to some of my seniors. And that was before we had a line dancing now we have a program. But so I said, okay, that sounds great. So she ran it like as a 4 or 5 week program once a week or whatever. Well, she found out really quickly exactly what you just said, Thomas. So she thought, well, I'm going to, I go line dancing every Friday night, so I'm going to put on some music and I'll teach them some steps, except that she was line dancing for a 20-year-old. So there are lots of spins and turns and back and forth and quickness. And she learned really quickly that that's a good way for a senior to, break a hip and fall, and you can't do it that way.
Yeah.
So her next stop was to, there was a dance therapy professor on campus who taught several dance therapy classes. So she spent some time with her and learned exactly what you just talked about, how to change it and alter it so that it's not only productive physically, so that you're meeting your goals with whatever you're trying to do, whether it's strength and balance and conditioning, whatever, but also so that it's safe for the population that you're working with.
Absolutely.
It's a good lesson to learn.
I'm a big fan of modifications.
Yeah.
I believe, if a senior can do more, by all means, go for it. But I think something that in the fitness industry we're afraid to do is to take a few steps back to then take steps forward.
Yeah.
So I'm all for modification.
Well, we were just talking, and you might have heard when you were off air, but we were talking about a program at the YMCA now for people with Parkinson's disease. And there used to be a facility up in East Hampton called DopaFit, and it was all just about fitness for people with Parkinson's because, of course, that program has to be modified. I think anytime and I really hope that the students in your group are learning this because I think it'll be such a valuable tool when you get out. If you can modify programs for any kind of a group with disabilities, whether it's children, whether it's people who are middle-aged, adults, older adults, young adults, it doesn't matter. That it gives you one leg up on sort of the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a skill. So kudos to the group. So we have somebody doing the research. We have somebody doing the marketing.
Yep.
Who else do we have in there?
So then we have Kylie Heifensteiner. She's in charge of all of the creative side. I'm not the most creative person on the planet. I'm very by the book. I like to read, but when it comes to the freedom of making like a poster or a pamphlet or something like that, not the best. So she's really good at that.
Okay.
And then we have Angela Tobias. She's our team scribe. She's actually a CJ major, and she has to take this class for one of her requirements for
CJ being
criminal justice, and she has to take this class as a requirement for one of her.
Yep. One of her gen eds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of keeping her away from some of the exercise stuff and keeping her more on the business side. So
sort of the organizational business. Yeah, no, that makes I think it sounds like you've really taken the skill set of individual members of the group and, kind of said, okay, you're good at this, so you're going to do that. And that's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the benefit for us because ultimately it's our older adults that are going to benefit from this program. So tell us a little bit about what the project, what are the parameters of this project that Dr. Rohde has set forth for you all that you've been working on?
So the struggle from the beginning was how open-ended it was. She basically just said, we have these certain guidelines we need to follow, but we're promoting physical activity to any population. You have to pick a specific population to target, and the majority of the class chose the younger populations or college-age kids, and we decided to go with promoting to seniors. So what she wanted was for us to take a model for behavior change, and we wanted to base our project off it. So when we go into more detail on the actual what the project is for us, I'll be able to break down that. But to keep it simple, we're just promoting physical activity to a certain population.
Okay, so that was the guideline. So what do you want to talk a little bit about how you've broken that down for this particular project?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have a 3-stage approach. We have stage 1, which is just a poster. It's very passive. It'll be hung up at the senior center.
Okay.
Very informational, but it's kind of designed for people in the pre-contemplation stage, people who don't even know that they want to add more physical activity to their life. They can pass by, look at it, and it's not bothering them.
Yeah.
Then we have stage 2, which is the pamphlets. Those are mainly for the people in the contemplation and the preparation stage. So these are people who they've decided, maybe I should be more physically active, but I don't know how to be more physically active. Maybe they're not quite ready to go to an exercise class, but they want to gather information. They want to gather the tools to be able to do it on their own. So they would grab a pamphlet, they would read through it, and they could hang it up in their own home. But that's information that they can come back to on their own. That's more taking control over it. Stage 3 would be the actual exercise class, which we're going to be filming April 24th. That is for people. It's for anyone, but it's more targeted for people in the action phase and the maintenance phase.
Now I'm going to actually really do this.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are people who they're going for it. They are
Yeah.
taking action, or they've been taking action, and they just want a new exercise class to follow.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we broke it down, is we wanted to hit everyone. We wanted everybody to feel like they are getting targeted, and hopefully.
Well, and I think what's interesting is, the poster piece. You have people that can go by that. That's probably something I should really do, or I should think about that. But sometimes it just takes one visit to the doctor. And I've had, we have Dr. Akinele Lovelace is a regular on my show. He's on once a month. Huge promoter of physical fitness. And he works with a lot of the older adults. He's at Family Medicine and has, probably works with half the people that come to the senior center. And sometimes it's just the visit with him to say, okay, you know what? Let's get really serious about lowering your blood pressure, besides medication and all that other stuff. But what else are you doing here, Or let's get really serious about, trying to cut back on some of the, get some of the weight off. And how can we do that? And so that may be the time that for that 17th time that the person has passed that poster, it might be like, yeah, okay, so what's this all about now? What can I do next? And, then we get into the pamphlet stage. And you've designed this, the group has designed this program so that we will be airing it. You'll be taping it, as you said. So will we have all members of the group participating, or some of the members of the group in the filming?
It's been chaos trying to get everyone together.
And it's the end of the semester.
Yes.
I know, it's the last big push. So you will be taping this. You'll be taping the class, a new class, and we will be offering that on Channel 15. We have a variety of other fitness classes that we have offered on Channel 15, starting with the pandemic, but they've become so popular, and we're really proud of them, and I still to this day have people who come to the senior center on a regular basis, and it may even be people who are taking classes, but then on the off days when they're not at the senior center, there's something. We have fitness programs on Channel 15 7 days a week now, so there's something, not all day long, but choose what you want to do and choose your time. So we're going to be adding your group, so you guys have to come up with your title of whatever we're going to be calling this and so forth. So that's exciting. So we'll see what happens. So just before, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to have you do a little demonstration.
Definitely.
But just tell us broadly, Thomas, what types of exercises are included in the program that you'll be doing, the full one that you'll be taping with Pete?
Absolutely. So the way our program is designed, it's got a warm-up section, which includes, gentle stretching just to get some blood flowing and, loosen up your muscles. And we're doing it in a circuit style. So there's 3 circuits. Each circuit has 3 exercises, and you'll go through each exercise 3 times. So it's almost like a rule of 3.
Okay.
All these exercises are exercises that are safe to do in your own living room. It doesn't have to be your living room. It could be your basement if you have a little area.
Sure.
But it's safe to do at home.
Yep.
And they took into account what's safe for seniors to do. There's not too much twisting. But there's balance. There's gentle stretching. There's upper body resistance. There's lower body resistance, and it requires no equipment.
Perfect.
So
those were I had my own rules when just for a viewing audience, like I said to the group, we want something. For one thing, you also want it to be affordable for people, and it starts to get expensive if people have to join a gym or if they have to go out and get all kinds of different equipment and things like that, and we want. One of my goals for any of the programs that we offer is to make it affordable for people, accessible for people. We can't get it much more affordable and accessible than something you can do in your own home with the stuff that you have in your house. So,
Yes.
All right. So my guest this morning, if you're just joining us, is Thomas Alves. Thomas is a senior at Westfield State University I gotta get this right, in the movement science program with a concentration in exercise science. So we've talked about this group project that you've been working on. I do want to thank you and your group publicly while I have that format, for thinking about the older adults in the city and beyond, and in doing this program. So when we come back, Thomas, we'll have the camera set up, and Thomas is you're going to do kind of a demonstration. So just of some of the types of things that people will see when they tune in next month. We will be adding this to our fitness lineup. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. I will be back with Thomas Alves after this break.
Freezes just like ice, and there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once I never could have hoped to win. You're starting down the road, leaving me again. The threats you made were meant to cut me down. And if my love was just a circus, you'd be a clown by now. No, I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't you know that I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:45. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. And in the studio this morning, we've been talking to Thomas Alves. Thomas is a senior at Westfield State University, majoring in movement science with a concentration in exercise science. And he's been talking about a collaborative project that his group of students, and I think there are 6 of them. Do I have that right? 6?
5.
5 of them are working on with staff from the Council on Aging. So one of the things that we talked about was a videotaping that Thomas and his group are going to be doing an exercise class that they will be taping with Pete and Kenny sometime at the end of this month to be aired in May. And we'll add that to our fitness lineup, our Channel 15 fitness lineup. So just to give people sort of a taste of what that's all about, I've asked Thomas if he'll do a little demonstration just to give you a sampling of what some of those exercises will be like. Again, these will be things that you'll be able to do in your home. So I'm going to turn this over to Thomas. I'm going to stop talking and let him take over and show us what he's got.
Awesome. Thank you, Tina. I'm going to be showing 6 exercises. 3 of them will be stretches, and 3 of them will be an actual demo circuit from our program that'll be filmed April 24th. First off, we have the seated hamstring stretch. So when doing this stretch, we want to make sure that we have a nice neutral back, keep our chest up, and we're going to slowly reach down towards our toes until we feel like a nice soft stretch. We don't want to stretch to the point where it hurts, just want a nice soft stretch. So I'm going to demo it right now. All right, so right there I showed you 3 different lengths to where I was able to reach. Those are examples of you being able to get a good stretch in even if you're not able to touch your toes. It doesn't, just because you can't touch your toes, it doesn't mean you aren't going to be able to get a benefit out of it. I've had some people go down to just their knee and say they feel a stretch, and I tell them to just hold it there, and then all of a sudden, after about 30 seconds, they can reach a little bit below their knee. So it doesn't matter where you start, it's just go to where you feel a nice stretch. So the next stretch we're going to do is a cross body stretch. This is going to stretch your back side of your shoulder or your rear delts. And for this one, we're just going to hold it for about 30 seconds, and we're going to do each arm for 30 seconds.
For those of you on the radio that can't see what's going on, he's stretching his both arms out.
Right.
I'm doing a little narrating because those on the radio are hearing room noise.
Gotcha. I forgot. Yes, I forgot. We only have, that's right. So stretching both arms. You got it, Pete.
Awesome. So for our next stretch, what we'll be doing is what we call a quad stretch. Some people are comfortable doing this on the ground, but we're going to do it using the assistance of a chair just for balance sake. And for this one, when we actually do the class, you'll be holding it for 30 seconds per leg. The key with this one, again, is to keep a nice proud chest and to just not stretch through pain. So if you reach the point where you feel a nice deep stretch, you just hold it and you focus on your breathing, and then slowly over time it'll start to relax. You can go deeper and deeper. So I'm going to demonstrate that real quick.
So Thomas is standing next to the chair, so he's got his hand on the chair for balance and grabbing his ankle with his other arm, with his other hand, and just pulling and kind of just stretching that leg. And as he said, just to where you feel a little bit of a stretch, not we don't want anyone with extreme pain. But definitely holding onto that chair is helpful with balance, because I do this stretch every single day, and I have to stand next to, I usually do this one in my bedroom, so I can stand next to my bed just so that I'm not toppling over.
Awesome. And would you rather have me just communicate to you what I'm doing next, or
you can.
is the microphone working?
You can.
So the next exercise we're doing is called a quarter squat.
Okay, next exercise is called a quarter squat.
Yes, and the benefit of doing this is some people are able to reach full range.
Some people are able to reach full range of motion when they squat, but the whole benefit of this is to reach out to as many people as possible, and the quarter squat is super beneficial. So the way we're going to use this exercise in the program is we're going to do it for a minute, and we'll rest for a little bit, do it for another minute, and so I'm going to demonstrate that real quick.
Okay, so hands are extended out in front of him, straight out.
Chest is up.
Chest is up.
And then you're going to go down
and you're
just around a quarter of parallel.
Okay, so you're gonna stretch down to what Thomas is saying is a quarter to parallel.
So if parallel would be when your butt touches the seat, it's a quarter of that distance.
Okay, so parallel would be when your butt touches the seat, but you're not going down that far. You're just going halfway. Yep. And then back up. So you're going. So those are squats.
Yep.
But again, you're not going all the way down to the floor. You're not even going all the way down to the chair. But I bet you can feel that in your thighs.
Oh yeah, especially over the course of a minute.
Yeah.
And the way you would make that more difficult is, the tempo that you do it. So if you start going and you realize, oh, this is a little difficult, like I don't know if I can do it, that's fine. That's totally fine. You just want to slow down. And that's why we're going to do it based on a time frame rather than a number of reps, because some people might only be able to do 5, and that's okay. We don't judge people at Westfield. We just want people to do their best and to get something out of it. You don't have to be a world beater. You just have to get something out of it.
Right. So it sounds like, so instead of saying, well, we're going to do 10 of those, what you're saying is we're going to do those for 1 minute or 45 seconds or whatever. However many you do in that time frame is however many you do in that time frame.
Absolutely.
Okay. Got it.
So the next exercise I'm going to be doing are jumping jacks.
Okay.
Everyone knows what a jumping jack is.
Of course.
But depending on a different person's needs, there's ways that we can adjust it to make it so a senior who isn't very active can do it.
Right.
So the way we would do that is just using our arms or just using our legs. So I'm going to demonstrate some different variations of jumping jacks that you could do at home.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited about this. When I used to take gym class, I loved doing jumping jacks. Loved it.
This is your traditional.
Okay, traditional jumping jack we're going to start with. Arms and legs. All right. And I know I've got seniors watching this show going, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't do that. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. That's the big one.
So this is what we call the freeze jumping jack.
The freeze jumping jack is what they call this. Ah, okay. I like it. Makes sense. You freeze, you jump, freeze, and then come back.
And we call this one the superhero jumping jack.
The superhero jumping jack, that's this one. Okay, so you're not moving your arms.
No.
Just your
Superhero
legs.
pose.
Yeah, superhero pose, hands on the hips, just moving your legs.
And that's a good
This
place
might
to
be
start.
The most regressed version of it. It's just arms.
And then you have the just arms version of it. Okay.
Just like that.
Yep. And you know what? I think, Thomas, as I was watching, I think of when you said jumping jacks, I'm thinking all of my people who have had knee replacements and hip replacements going, I can't do that, I can't do that. But they certainly can do the arm piece of it. Or my folks who have had like shoulder replacements who are going, I can't do that, I can't do that, certainly may be able to do the leg piece of it. And I like the freeze one.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
And
There you
then
go.
for the last exercise, what we'll be doing is a seated leg extension. This one is great for people who have knee problems because it helps strengthen your quadriceps right above your knee.
Okay.
But it's because we're not using any equipment, it's super low impact. So I'll show a quick demonstration real quick. Again, when we do it on the actual class, you'll be doing it for a minute at a time. So to make it more difficult, you would just do it at a faster pace.
Right. So the class will be, this is just a demonstration of some of the kinds of things they'll be doing in the class and how things have been modified. All right.
Chest up.
Chest up.
You're going to be grabbing the side of the seat.
Okay, grab the side of your seat.
And then you're just going to bring your whole foot up.
And you're just going to extend your foot, and I see that it's flexed, right?
Yes,
Yep.
flexed. So if you struggle going all the way up, this is all we do. Ready? We go halfway.
Okay, so so the way that this exercise, as Thomas is explaining, that can be modified is if you can extend your leg all the way out, you're doing that, right? Yeah, you can take it.
Correct. Yeah, and it basically what that's doing, it's allowing anyone to do it because there are some people out there, especially people who have meniscus surgeries, they can't go all the way up. Mm-hmm. But that again, that doesn't mean that you can't do something.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of do something, do your best. And there's a lot of people out there who, you need to work so hard, you need to, if you can't go all the way, then you're not doing it. And I don't think that's right. I think your best is your best, and that's all that matters. So.
You know what? I love that, Thomas, because I am totally with you. And as I said, Dr. Lovelace is on the show once a month, and I think whenever we talk about exercise, his big thing is just move.
Yes.
Keep moving. And I think the other thing is you don't need to have like a 2 or 3 hour stretch of time that you're going to devote to this. If you are doing things and you're modifying things and you can do it for, you start and you can only do 10 or 15 minutes, do 10 or 15 minutes, because the more you do it, pretty soon you're going to find you're doing 12 minutes, and then you might be doing 15 minutes, and then you might be doing 18 minutes, and but none of that. It takes time to get there, and that's okay. I think that's the point. It's okay.
Absolutely,
right?
And like the full workout class is going to be 50 minutes long, but if you only make it halfway through, it's 25 minutes of exercise that you wouldn't have done otherwise. So,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thomas Alves, can you come on back
Absolutely.
over here to the table, Thomas. This has just been really great, really fabulous. Thank you for that demonstration, because I think it gives, I think the demonstration gives our viewers anyway and our listeners. Thank you, Pete, for reminding me. We have some people that are listening on the radio, like, what's going on? What's
I cranked his mic wide open, so he's on the floor. You could still hear him a little bit.
Yeah, you could still hear him a little. But that was really helpful for people to get an idea of what this is going to be all about. I think the name of the game is modification. And, and even when, we have Zumba classes at the Senior Center, and I know Millie Odabashian, who's one of my Zumba instructors, has always said, because I've taken it with her for years, and has always said, you can ramp it up and you can ramp it down. Whatever you're comfortable with on any given day, it doesn't have to be exactly the way I'm doing it, go at your own pace. But I think what's interesting is the more people do this, the more they're going to find, hey, wait a minute, I can reach a little lower, I can stretch a little further, I can do it for a little longer or a little faster. And that just happens with time. And that's just, that's such a great feeling to feel like, hey, I'm doing this, So thank you so much to you and to all the other students. Of course, I realize now that I have my questions here that we probably didn't get to half of them, but that's okay. I mean, the whole idea is that, it's important for our seniors to be exercising, to be moving, to be doing it all year round. So this is a program where you can do it in the comfort of your own home. It doesn't matter if it's snowing outside, and it doesn't matter if it's 105 degrees outside. This is something that you can do in the home, and just how important it is. And I always say, I think really when you get down to it, the reason why it's so important for older adults to do exercises, to keep moving, to be physically fit, is just to get them through their regular day, so that getting dressed, getting in and out of the bathtub, getting in and out of the car, carrying your groceries, so that you can maintain doing all of those activities of daily living. I mean, that's what it's really all about. It's
Absolutely.
just, you just want to be able to go through your day and manage as much as you can on your own, as easily as you can. And the way to do that is to stay physically fit. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Alves, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Folks, when the May newsletter comes out, we will have the new class added, so we're excited about that. You are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. As a reminder, Pete will be we'll be launching rockets next week, so we'll be doing a best of show. And I will be back in 2 weeks with Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. We'll see you then. Take care.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.